Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM. Good morning to everyone in the chat already. Certified Organic, John Doom, good to talk to you. So we've talked about how Behind the Screen is a show about gaming, game design, game writing, advice to new game masters and new game writers. And so I decided to take some time. We're talking about Savage Worlds. We're talking about a lot about Savage Worlds. And I thought we'd take some time today to talk about Savage Universe. Now, Savage Universe is, in complete transparency, a project that I am sort of the overseer of. But a lot of people have been asking on the Discord channel and just to me in general, how do you get into writing for role-playing games? It's something that as gamers, we all sort of tend to, at one point and the other, talk about, think about, want to do. And I think that Savage Worlds and Pinnacle Entertainment has done something pretty unique that are to allow people to use their system and their in a unique way. Hey, Byron, no, I am not in Ann Arbor this time, but Evan is. If you're asking about Chaosium Con, Evan will be at Chaosium Con this weekend. So make sure you say hi to him. He's got several games that he's running. 13th Age, Glorantha. He's doing his Red Moon and Warring Kingdoms adventures. And then he's giving a seminar on using frame narratives to help draw people into the world that you're creating. So what is Savage Universe? Well, I've got some questions both from the chat and thanks to Tinker Hellraiser for helping me compile some of these. So Savage Universe is a website that helps second-party creators. Now, what is second-party creators? That's not something that we normally hear. We normally hear about third-party creators. So a second-party creator is somebody that is allowed to work within a license to make official or quasi-official products. And Savage Worlds does this with three different, and actually four different ways. They allow you to create stuff for Savage Worlds. Now, you got to be careful. Go to savageuniverse.com, go to the tab that says Getting Involved, and they'll kind of explain it. There are things you are allowed to do, and there are things you are not. But essentially, Pinnacle has said, hey, it makes sense to allow people to write stuff for Savage Worlds because people love Savage Worlds. So at the lowest level, if you will, the base entry into the Savage Worlds community, and this is great advice for new writers. Before I get into Savage Worlds, why am I even talking about Savage Universe? I got into writing professionally as a game designer because of the Iconic podcast. That was it. I had done a little bit of my own homeworld, own setting design, own house rules, made a couple of game systems. But once I started putting out the Iconic podcast for 13th Age, suddenly I started to know people in the 13th Age space. And I was able to, they heard us talking about 13th Age. I got involved in a couple of products. And next thing I know, I'm the line developer for 13th Age. We interviewed Tim Brown about Dragon Kings, and that opened a door to bring him out for a local convention. And next thing I know, I'm writing for Dragon Kings. So if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a game designer, start putting your content out into the hands of people who want to use your content. Now, what Savage Universe does is it provides multiple ways for not only you to use Savage Worlds content, but also to be signal boosted. Because part of the problem is you put something up on drive-thru and your friends will buy it. I know this from experience. And that's about it. Someone may stumble across what you have put together, but it's sort of hit or miss. By the way, morning to Brian and Mark and to Rook. So, what are the different ways that you can get involved in Savage Worlds? Well, first of all, there's the fan use policy. If you just want to put something up for free on your website or on a blog that you design for Savage Worlds, that's great. Go ahead and do it. There's really nothing more that you need to do. You can make new edges, new hindrances, new monsters, put together a little campaign setting or piece of equipment. In fact, Savage or Pinnacle runs, the fans of Savage run 2 different events, one in February and one later in the year, where they pick a topic, everyone gets to kind of feed into that, and then they signal boost each other. The community at Savage Worlds is wonderful. Now, say you really want to get something out and published, and we're going to talk about doing this specific thing later in the month. You can join what's called the Savage World Adventurers Guild. That's also on Savage Universe. You can go over to get involved, go over to the swag program, and walk through what you need to do. This is if you want to sell something on drive-thru. And I cannot recommend highly enough to everyone, if you want to start writing in the role-playing game industry, putting something up on drive-thru RPG is a great way to do it. The Swag Guild not only has a framework that allows you to put up an adventure or a small setting or a group of hindrances and edges, but it provides a ready-made marketplace for you. You sign up for the Savage World Adventurers Guild, and suddenly everybody who's following the Savage World Adventurers Guild sees your product. You get to make some money. Christian Serrano recommended that if you are looking at moving beyond just that, to save that money, and we'll get to that in a bit. So what do you put up on Savage Universe? We're going to talk about one-sheet adventures. People love one-sheet adventures. If you want an example of this, go over to peginc.com and you can find their one-sheets. They're free. It's essentially an adventure that takes place on one sheet of paper, front and back. You have to limit yourself. And let me tell you, I've written several one-sheets. They're difficult because really you're limited to about 800 to 1,200 words, including your monsters. What it does is it refines your writing process, your creative process. It helps you focus in on exactly what is necessary. You got to cut away all of the fat and give someone an adventure that they can pick up, read on, front and back of a sheet of paper, and be ready to go. People love one-sheet adventures. They're a great way to introduce yourself to the community, put it up for, a couple of dollars, make a little money. This also puts you in front of people who are writing for Savage Worlds as well as Pinnacle. It's a great way to get some face time with the community and builds a fan base that either helps you move on to being an ace, but I also know a lot of people who in Pinnacle started writing for the Swag Guild, Savage World Adventurers Guild. The final licensee for producing products is the Aces. Now, this is if you want to take something and take it to crowdfunding, produce a physical book. Requirements are a little stricter. They want to see that you've got the chops, writing, designing, and layout to make something look great. If you do that, you can go to Kickstarter. The door's open. Finally, maybe you're just like me. Maybe you just love Savage Worlds and you want to do a blog, a video YouTube channel, stream a game. There's the Savage World Media Network, which allows you to put up Savage Worlds content and then have it link back to a lot of different advertising channels. So why is this all about Savage Universe? Because at Savage Universe, my job is to make sure all of these cool fan projects, one-sheet adventures, things that go up on Swag, jump starts, which are little introductions to campaign settings, your podcast, your YouTube channel, your stream, your fan blog, that it gets put in front of the community. If you want to know more about Savage Worlds and what people are doing in Savage Worlds space, go over to Savage Universe. Well, the other thing that Pinnacle does is it does provide art assets. It provides what you can and cannot use. It allows you to reference things from the core rulebook. They're really trying to make it easy for people to break in to writing for Savage Worlds. I can tell you with a little bit of foreknowledge that they're planning on expanding how much support they are providing for their licensees. There are talks of helping people find printers and shipping companies to bring products over if you're an ace. Walking you through how to do layout. We've got a lot planned for Savage Universe. But again, the purpose of Savage Universe isn't to promote Pinnacle's stuff. The whole point of Savage Universe, my whole role at Pinnacle, and again, like I said, this video is going to be filled with self-advertisement. The whole point is to say this is a site dedicated for the fans of Savage Worlds that produce content for Savage Worlds. So we're not going to advertise Pinnacle things. I think the only Pinnacle things that are going to be on the site is on the calendar, just to show you what crowdfundings are going on so you can block around that. So if you have something for Savage Worlds, reach out to me. info@savageuniverse.com. Let me know. I'd love to write a featured article about you. I'd love to get you on one of the Savage Universe streams to show off what you have created. If you're a writer and you're looking at all of the other products that are out there and wondering where to start, do I start with my own game system? How do I bring my campaign setting to see if people are interested in it? Go to Savage Universe. We talked a lot about how great Savage Worlds is for adapting to new settings and genres. I don't think there's an easier company to work with to bring something new to the table than with all of their licenses. In fact, they've made a whole site dedicated just to advertising their second-party creators. It's kind of cool. You don't have to worry about creating a new system. You just have to worry about creating some setting rules that fit with your campaign setting and put it up there. We're going to talk about jumpstarts later in the month. Jumpstarts are a short adventure set in a brand new setting. It's essentially a 10 to 20 page PDF that says, hey, here's an adventure in my new setting. Here are just enough rules and backgrounds for you to get through that and introduce people to the stuff you want to introduce them to. If you've got a cool campaign setting that you've been running at your house and you want to see if people are interested, Jumpstart's a great way to gauge interest. And again, you charge a little bit, and then you hold on to that so that if you do make the jump to Ace, you have some money set aside to pay for a little bit of layout, a little bit of editing, so you can show it off to Pinnacle and see if the Ace license gets approved. Now, the other thing is you should know that Pinnacle's a very small company. Not a very small company, but a small company. It's not like publishing under the SRD or the OGL for Wizards or Paizo, where basically as long as they don't care, as long as you slap your little OGL at the back of your product, they don't even necessarily know you exist. Pinnacle wants a relationship with the people who are producing for Savage Worlds. They want to know who you are. They want you to drop a line and say, hey, I've got this new stream. I've got this new podcast. I'm putting this thing up on Swag. Hey, I'd like to apply to an Ace. And while the Ace requirements are a little restrictive, it's more about quality than it is as a barrier to entry. Think of it as submitting a book to an editor. They may reject your book, but they've marked it up and given you advice. There's no closed door there. If you take the advice and you refine it and you send it back, they're willing to look at it again. Quality as opposed to quality. A protein shake of self-promotion. So, what can Savage Universe do for you if you're at all interested in Savage Worlds, or really getting your start, getting a leg up in self-publishing? Well, first of all, for aspiring streamers or YouTubers, it's hard to get your stuff to stand out. They're providing a way to be self-promoted, or to take your self-promotion and tie it into the promotion of all things Savage Worlds. Let me know. We'll write a little article. We'll put you on a stream. We'll let you get in front of people and tell them why it's cool. People who want what you're producing. The same thing goes for writers. Instead of being one in a sea of products, you can go to the people who want your product and say, hey, this is something new that I've put out. Come check it out. You normally have to pay for that sort of advertisement. Now, what if you're just a fan of Savage Worlds and you're like, I don't plan on writing, publishing, creating any sort of content? Savage Universe is still for you. There's a great page that shows all of the new swag products as they hit DriveThruRPG. Do you want to know what's cool and new in the Savage Worlds universe on DriveThruRPG? Go to Savage Universe. Need a podcast or want to watch an actual play and don't know where to start for Savage Worlds? Well, first of all, check out Crucible of Realms on the Iconic Production channel. I think we've got a pretty good actual play. Tune into Behind the Screen. We're going to talk a lot about Savage Worlds. But this allows you to find all of the swag stuff, all of the current aces with links to their websites, as well as all of the stuff that's going on in the community in one spot. If you like Savage Worlds, this is really the spot for you. So, jump over to the chat, because you guys, I've been seeing you scroll by, but I was in my group. I know there are people on the Iconic Production Discord who are asking about Savage Universe and writing for Savage Worlds. We're going to do a couple more episodes of Behind the Screen on how to actually write for Savage Worlds. I'll put links to, when we get to that, we'll talk about that. But I'll put links to Savage Universe in the show notes here. If you are actually interested in trying your hand at being a professional game writer, Savage Universe is the site to help you get started. And here's the thing: a one-sheet adventure. We're gonna do a whole episode on one-sheet adventures. You're talking about 1,200 words tops. That is a doable goal for anyone who has written material about their RPG stuff, or who enjoys writing, or who enjoys game design. 1,200 words could be anything from a day to about a week's worth of effort. And again, put it up for pay what you want. Put it up for $1, $2. Have some. Take the risk. Come up with a cool idea and put it out there. Now, I will say Savage Universe also tells you what you can't do. And there's reasons for this. You can write a supernaturally weird West. You cannot write a Deadlands adventure. You can write a Gonzo adventure set in a world of high technology and high magic. You cannot write a Savage Rifts adventure. They got to protect their IPs. But on the flip side, they want to protect your IPs. You retain the rights to everything you put up under a Savage Worlds license. So if someday you are writing Cats vs. Dog, the Mecha Edition, and some Hollywood executive is like, I want to turn this into an animated movie, you don't need to worry about Pinnacle coming and saying, hey, you've written under our license. The IP is yours. They just ask you to respect the same for them. Yes, Tink, you have said it nice and succinctly. Savage Universe allows people to make and help promote their own stuff. Rook, I know you know how to write a sentence, buddy. I've played in a game you designed. I think it would make a great Savage World setting. There's a lot of demon summoning in the chat. That's great. I do like that. Yes, John. Ideas are 12 for 10 cents. It's putting the words to the layout that's worth the salt. And here's the thing. Just start. That's the number one piece of advice I give to all writers. Just start. Set a small goal, which is why I love one-sheets. 1,200 words is totally doable. And here's the thing. On the Swag Guild, there are templates that you'll be able to download. When we talk about one-sheets, I'll have a ton of resources for you that you can just plug your stuff into. But heck, 2-column Word format that gets exported to a PDF and a piece of stock art. There you go. You've got your Savage World one sheet. Yes, Rook, I totally think you should do that. So, speaking of more self-promotion, speaking of people who are starting to get into writing and get to publication, you'll also notice up in this corner, Strange Owl Games, another company that I am affiliated with and work with. We're getting ready for our next Kickstarter. And that next Kickstarter I'm going to put in the chat right here. Amboria, Role-Playing in the World Under Starlight. It uses the Jackal's Clash system, the game that I wrote. And is going to be a very unique game of literature and liturgy and almost fairy tale fantasy. If you want to follow that link, you can sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. The doobly-doo, as Matt Colville calls it. And we're going to have Richard on to talk more about that. We've talked about Amboria before on the channel. Richard is one of the co-hosts of the Grand Campaign. He's been working on this for a very long time. We're very excited to be bringing it to market. So, that was a lot of talk about Savage Universe. So, John, one sheet. Rook, one sheet. Send them to me. I don't mind. I would love to look over them, give some advice. I can even help a little bit with some advice on layout. I think one-sheets are a great way to get started in Savage Worlds and in writing in general. Soon you have a couple of one-sheets, got 4,000 or 5,000 words towards a campaign setting, do a jump start. You're well on your way to becoming a Savage Worlds ace. Yes, and to all members of the Iconic Production sphere, raise a glass. Congrats to Rook and his wife on the birth of their twins. So, what do we have left on Iconic Production this week? Well, we got a ton of stuff. On Saturday, we're going to be doing Exploring Glorantha, even though Evan's at Chaosium Con. Evan, I hope you enjoy Chaosium Con. I expect a lot of pictures and updates. Sunday night, we're doing our inaugural game of 13th Age 2. We're going to be doing the play test, introducing the characters, running through a couple of sample combats, and getting ready for a larger campaign. And then next week, we'll be back with Behind the Screen, talking a lot more about Savage Worlds. So, thank you, Rook. And then, yes, to raise your glass as well to Ben, who plays Pockets in our game. Also, proud father of a new baby girl. So, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I am JM, and this has been Behind the Screen. I will hope to see you all soon. Until then, have a good one.